Started. Music was the cue, I guess. So thank you so much for joining the session. We're really excited today to give you a real-world case study on talking about moving one of the largest SAP HANA workloads in the world to the Azure cloud. And I'm going to talk very little. We are going to have a very open session. David and I talked. We have David South with us here, who was running the project for Coca-Cola. You'll hear a bit about which part of Coca-Cola in a little bit. And we also have Bob Marino here in SAP here. Bob is from Capgemini. And SAP, we all team together on this opportunity. So for questions, we'll be available as a team to help answer. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get it kicked off. And at my point when talking to David is we want to make it interactive as we go. So as David's presenting content and you have questions, please just step up to a microphone so we can find you, and we'll make sure we answer the questions on the go.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. So show of hands, how many people actually have HANA in the cloud or on-prem? How many of y'all are actually looking at moving that to Azure or to another cloud? Okay, so this is going to be really key learnings from our journey from migrating our HANA on-prem to Azure. So like Mark said, please, any questions, please ask. A little bit about Kona. So Kona really got started around 2011. If y'all follow the news, Coca-Cola bought CCE, which was the world's largest bottler at the time, bought their North American operations for the purpose of actually redistributing the territory to 11 bottlers. Some of those were existing bottlers. Some of those were brand new bottlers, like Coca-Cola Florida was a brand new bottler. Great Lakes was a brand new bottler. So Kona was started to be their IT service organization. So just our formula, our credo's kind of changed. It used to be make it happen because we were in the transition phase. Now our credo is make it better. And it's, so Kona stands for Coke One North America. We are an SAP shop, so we focus on ECC, CRM, we have some bolt-ons around that. We are a DSD solution, so we support pre-sales, full service, and direct store delivery. And the model that we built Kona on was actually built within Coke for several years. We took it and actually modified it to work within the North American market. So a little bit more about Kona. We've got 11 bottlers, which are in the bottom right. The revenue is projected to be over $21 billion this year. Case volume is extremely high. We've got over 417 distribution centers that we support. We've got about 10,000, we have about 10,000 daily routes. We have about 13,000 sales folks, including DSMs. We have about 1.8 million customers, and that's growing as we speak. So just a little bit about the volume. So why Azure? So we have a very strategic partnership with Microsoft. The Coca-Cola system has a lot of projects in the fire with them. We see Azure as an innovation platform, and to speak to that, we're actually doing some machine learning with Hadoop, with SQL, with Spark. We've got a number of things going on in parallel to our HANA implementation. The other thing we see is we've seen overall TCO. As we start looking at bringing HANA in from on-prem or another cloud, in addition to these other services, we see a very high TCO for us to move forward with Azure. And then at the same time, we see Azure as the leading cloud provider because of all the additional services they provide. So the initial scope, this is the fun part. So when I started this project, I went up to the CEO and my boss, and I was like, well, my plate isn't as busy as it should be. What do you have for me? And they go, well, we got this lift and shift that we want you to run. And it sounded really, really positive. Okay, lift and shift doesn't sound like a lot of work. Guys, I don't know how many people have done this, but it's not a lift and shift by any stretch of the imagination. So we were moving HANA and all the components, BW, SLT, BODS, data services, Tableau, BobJ, from one data center to another. We have 9 landscapes that we had to move, and I've got a diagram to show you the sizes of the landscapes. HANA is a little bit of a mix. We have native HANA and then BW on HANA. With over 22,000 defined users. I tried to get a little bit better metric, but unfortunately there are a couple bottlers that assign the role of HANA to everybody, but we know not everybody uses it. And let's see. So the other assumption or the scope was, we need to set up a private network in Azure. None of this would be exposed to the public, so we have firewalls, everything to make sure that nobody can get access to any of the systems. So we had to get Capgemini, who is our trusted advisor, in to help us design the network piece of it. I believe that was an ongoing project over a couple of months because of changes here and there. The other thing is we needed to provide 11 bottlers access to all the systems I defined up above. So initially, we're hoping that we would be able to come up with a quick direct connect to Azure. But what we came up with was a connection through one of our existing data centers that would take us through our telecom providers into Azure. The other assumption was there are no application changes, no growth projections, no application changes whatsoever, no improvements in the system. Again, a lift and shift. And then, to top it all off, they wanted all this done by April 20th. And so I got this starting, I guess, December of last year. And so now we're going to get into the lessons that I've learned over this. So just to kind of lay the groundwork, I'm not a HANA person. I've got some SAP experience. I can spell HANA, but that's about the extent of my knowledge. So our landscapes, as you can see, they vary in size, and that's one of the key learnings that I want to call out, and I'll call that out in a later slide, is we tried to, again, mimic what we had in our on-prem data center in Azure. And what we found was that what was in the on-cloud didn't translate to a one-to-one when we moved to the cloud. So just take that in for a minute. We lived and breathed this, and yeah. So lessons learned. Okay, so we made some assumptions that didn't hold true. So we have 11 bottlers with 11 different IP ranges connecting into Azure. So we ended up having we knew we had to have a firewall that we had to put in Azure, or we had to find a spare set of IP addresses that we could plug into Azure for our HANA systems. Well, after, there were assumptions that we could use this IP range. Well, what actually ended up to be true was that IP range was already taken. So we ended up having to procure new IP addresses through the broker, whoever owns all the IP addresses. And that caused probably about a 20-day, 30-day delay. Although it didn't really stop us per se, but it did hold up a number of initiatives that we had in place. The other thing we found out early on is, I'll get into a little bit about how we move data back and forth, but the circuits that we had in place, we found out we had a gig circuit that actually was only getting about 300 to 400 meg. And so we spent cycles with about 3 different providers trying to figure out where the bandwidth issue was. And so the call out really is around, as you start thinking about the amount of data that you're moving, systems that you're moving, you need to verify that the bandwidth that you need to meet your SLAs is there.
And David, if I can add on that, I know when we talked about this, a lot of what you're talking about on the IP address range and even the network bandwidth was all outside of the Azure side.
Yep.
It's just that until the testing was done,
yes,
there was no. And so it's a good point that end to end, when you think about this, you can't just think of the cloud. You have to think of all the other systems that touch it, right?
Yep, exactly. So the other thing I'll call out is the bottler connectivity, the latency, right? So, there's different ways you can measure latency. If you're hitting a record, latency doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but if you're reading or writing 1 million records, latency adds up. And that's one thing that we found in a couple different scenarios. One is with how the bottlers connect. As you can see, I put a kind of a diagram at the bottom as far as how we connect. So if you envision the bottlers, take the top left box, they go through AT&T, they hit what we call our SDC data center, and then it goes to another provider, and then it goes to Azure. I think end to end there was between 50 and 80 milliseconds. So for hitting a record in BW for TPM, we didn't see any latency issues. Matter of fact, they thought everything was fine. But when a bottler tried to use AO, which is Analytics for Office for HANA, or using HANA Studio to query a large subset of records, the query ran real fast in HANA, but the data coming back took a long time. And that still happens today. We're still trying to work through how we're going to get the bottlers to connect into Azure directly. A lot of the bottlers have tenants, subscriptions, but we still need to manage their IP ranges so they don't bring another bottler down. So that's some of the challenges that we're under at this point.
And so, David, you have a complex scenario but a lot of people may be in the situation that's the same, where it's just not Coke One North America or Kona you have to worry about,
Yes.
but all the entities you're partnered with, because when you got on this network for security, you wanted them all in the same central instance of HANA.
Correct.
So the complexity is multiplied because it's like connecting 11 companies to a 12th as far as all of that. And so a lot of the planning you have to think through in those types of scenarios.
And we don't manage their network, which is, in hindsight, it'd be great if we owned their network. Then we could probably manage some of this a little bit better. But because we don't manage the bottlers above the line, it adds a challenge because a lot of the bottlers actually use third parties to manage their network. So they don't necessarily know everything that's going on. So just a lot of challenges as far as the network and setup and things of that nature, which is really, was outside of Azure. This is all, some of these are just Kona CAP key learnings. There are a couple that I'll bring up that I think are foundational for CAP, Microsoft, and Kona. So I mentioned this earlier, the replication process, right? So we use two different mechanisms to replicate either the VMs or the HANA systems. So for the VMs, we used ASR, which honestly worked great. I mean, we had no issues with the VMs whatsoever. It was a fast process. Matter of fact, we had a couple of situations where a VM didn't seem to be in the right state, and so we had to re-replicate it, and it basically took hours. The downside is when you use ASR, you're taking basically the image of the system you have in place on the source and moving it to the target. The assumption we had is we owned those licenses on the source. We did not own those licenses. Those were the cloud provider's licenses. So we had to go and procure new SUSE licenses, which I'm not sure how big of a deal. It's just going back and patching all the servers with new license keys and such, but it still caused delays in the cutover evenings that we had to use. So that was having to go through the procurement process was probably the big delay. But then all the extra activity we had to go through in order to convert those to our licenses was something that basically was just extra complications during the cutover tasks. And if you think about it, we had 9 different systems, or 9 different landscapes we had to cut over with all the VMs, including, well, didn't really include HANA because we had to install SUSE and HANA from scratch. But this is all for the VMs, which was by far the majority of systems we had out there. For the HANA piece, we used HSR. And I would say halfway through the project, we started asking the question, how do we really know that we have all the data at the end of the HSR? So so I don't have a diagram here, but visualize this. We used another cloud provider. They had 2 data centers, one for the primary HANA, one for the DR HANA. We did not want to HSR from the primary HANA. We did not want to impact performance. So we HSR'd from the DR. So it went from the primary HANA to the DR site to Azure and then to Azure DR. And all that actually worked flawless. But at some point we started asking, well, how do we know that the DR site that we're actually syncing to Azure is in sync? And so we had to actually we did a couple of cutover activities to ensure that the data was there. And so we had to build a confidence that we knew all the data was there. So with HANA 1.0, you cannot look at the data in the HANA system. With HANA 2.0, we found out there were some enhancements that you can take advantage of to actually look at the data. So honestly, HANA 2.0 is something of interest to us. We just got to figure out the right approach, and is there a TCO for us to migrate? Let's see. The downside from HSR. The one thing that I guess no one really realized is, again, in the other cloud, we had 9 different landscapes. I'll use a couple of examples. So in our pre-prod environment, we had 8 1 terabyte boxes. Well, if I'm replicating from that system, I have to have 8 nodes on the other system to replicate. That's how HSR works. We really didn't connect the dots on that one, and so we had to scurry around looking for 3 extra blades in order to make 8 nodes. So our initial landscape was 5 4 terabyte nodes for every landscape other than development, maintenance, and sandbox. DR and production would only get a failover node, but all the others would have 5 nodes. Let's see, the next one is be prepared for changes. So again, as I said, we started off with 5 4 terabyte nodes. About May timeframe, the BI group came up to us and said, hey, look, our projected growth is we're going to need to add another node. And so we ended up adding a 6th node before we went live. And Microsoft really helped us get nodes around. We had to get some nodes into the West Coast because these 384 boxes were relatively new at the time. I don't think they're new anymore. I think y'all have a large inventory of them now, but at the time they were still working through the process.
Yeah, to be clear, Kona was the largest migration for BW. And so a lot of what David's talking about, is great because you see in one of the most complex environments, one of the largest scale SAP landscapes in the world, what it looks like. Quite frankly, in a single node or smaller environments, not nearly the complexity.
Yeah.
But what you're seeing here is you can make it work in these large environments. How many people here have a HANA system above 10 terabytes? So we got a couple. How many have it over 30? So at the end of the year, what's your projection, David? How big will this be?
So we were supposed to add a node last maintenance weekend, or last maintenance month. It went fine with the primary site, but when we tried to add it to the DR site, for whatever reason, it failed. So we had to create another high message with SAP to help us figure it out. So next maintenance month, we'll add the 7th node. We're projecting to add an 8th node in December because we have no archive strategy. Well, 1.0 has some challenges with archiving, and we're trying to get a handle on that now so we don't continue to add more nodes. So the other thing I'll call out as far as the process, and this applies to the ASR and the HSR, as you start building in the SUSE configuration, we noticed that there are differences between the VMs in one cloud and what needed to be in Azure. Matter of fact, I think we had to upgrade to we were on 11 some odd release in the other cloud. We had to be on 12 in Azure, which is fine, which is great. We probably need to schedule that anyway, but honestly, there were a lot of config changes that we saw that we had to do. All right, this is a big one. So I highly recommend, if y'all are looking to migrate to the cloud or to a different cloud, is engage SAP early. We have a max attention program, which we have X set number of days, hours with SAP that they can work through issues, help us with the process, and we took advantage of that. We also took advantage of what they call is a technical integration check. That's when they come in and do the hardware checks, make sure everything's compatible from their perspective. Even though everything's certified, the S384 has been certified for quite some time, they come in and make sure that the environment we're putting it in works. And there were a lot of heated debates whether or not one test was valuable versus another test. So they have NIPing test versus a ping test. They have a hardware check. And at the end of the day, we all agree that, okay, the hardware check is the gospel. The nping test is not a valid test to show the latency between the nodes and within the network itself. But honestly, this helped build confidence that as we started getting closer to the actual production deployment, that we felt comfortable in with all the decisions we were making. So there were the last two items. It's a key learning for everybody. So when we had the 384s, and I'll start with our process. So the first landscape that we migrated was our performance landscape, which was in theory the same size as production and DR. And so that was our very first landscape. It had 40 gig NIC cards. It had a certain driver and firmware revision. And honestly, that went fairly smooth. We didn't have any major issues with it. And you know, I'll call out with that being said is we based that one landscape move based on some schedules that our basis team had in play. Example being they needed to do a refresh of the performance landscape, and they wanted to do some performance tests. Reality of the matter was, yeah, we didn't actually have to, for the HANA migration, we shouldn't have had to follow that, because HANA really wasn't brought into the mix of a system-wide performance test per se. And so honestly, I don't have a problem starting off with the performance landscape. It gives us key learnings going into the other landscapes, but I would have rather kept that landscape up, redoing the migration over the next 3 months or so, because that would have given us more confidence as we come to production that we would have migrated that like system multiple times. But getting back to the NIC issue, all these physical boxes had these 40 gig NIC cards. So we, as April came closer and closer, we decided that there were a number of things that we weren't ready with, and so we were going to do a mock cutover of production. And the mock cutover basically is you get the HSR in a state where it's fully caught up. You cut the boundary with, or cut the cord with HSR, and you isolate your Azure system and bring it up, and you can do validations on it. Well, the first one we did, we had a NFS issue, and we really didn't understand all the problems that we had, so we couldn't actually perform that 100%. So we had to actually start, when the NFS issue started, HSR started from scratch. So as we started doing more analysis and dug deeper into it, we found that there was a NIC issue. And the NIC issue was causing some of the problems. And there was a couple pieces of software that weren't in play at that point that we had not installed. One was an HP module called Phone Home. It's like the ET version. And there was some, we also didn't have Tivoli installed and ready to go. So there were a number of things that we weren't monitoring properly to get to the root cause. So, you know, I think the NIC issue was probably the biggest challenge we had, because even towards the July, when we finally went live in July, we had several NIC issues, and the key learnings for that were we had to back the NICs out. We had to change those to 10 gig with a couple different parameters to get the system stable. Since then, we've not had any issues, and so, you know, some of the key learnings is making sure your monitoring's in place, making sure the revisions of firmware, drivers, and everything are on the same across all your landscapes. The physicals are a lot different than the VMs. And that's really the thing I'd like to call out. Now, maybe long term, it's not that big of a challenge, but for us, for this implementation, it was.
I think it's valid, David. I think in general, even with the VMs, in a HANA system, you have to, that's why all the parties are so important. At lower volumes, not as much of an issue.
Yeah.
But at your type of volumes, where you're one of the top customers in the world, size of volume, in size of the HANA database, you know, things like the service pack you're on a HANA can have a material impact on what version of SUSE Linux, for instance, or Red Hat you're using, and the network drivers you need to use. Even though it's all certified and it passed the certification test, under load they're different,
Yeah.
which is why everything David is saying I think is so critical, because that process, when you have all the monitoring in place, gives you early insight to what you might be seeing. Now, most of our mainstream customers we ran into never ran into any of those issues because of the volume. And so, you know, these things will happen at time. Anybody that tells you there's not going to be any problem in a migration probably hasn't done one.
Exactly.
The key learnings are, you know, what you can do, and that's part of what we're trying to share here. But I would say, you know, even though that issue is resolved,
Yep.
there will be a new issue on these large migrations, and these practices, I think, are still absolutely valid.
So, to Mark's point, L, R, Q, P, and DR all had the same NIC cards in them, and we didn't see when we cut over L, Q, R, we didn't see any of those issues. Yeah. We actually did 2 mock cutovers with DR to prove that the DR was replicating correctly. So when we felt comfortable when we went live in production that we'd be able to get all that replicated without any issue. We didn't have any issues with DR. We only had issues with production. So we're still at a kind of a, we don't really understand why we had more issues with production than any of the other lower landscapes, but we worked through those issues again with CAP and Microsoft, and we did a great job doing that. So, last set of lessons learned, right team with the right skill set. So, we had a lot of really good resources on the Microsoft side and on the CAP side. We had, you know, as I'll call out 2 individuals, or actually 3, Bob, Sandeep, and Daniel. Daniel was a great overall generalist. He understood Azure. He had been working with Azure for a while, so he understood how to spin things up, spin things down, get them created. Sandeep was our SAP HANA person. He had a great team. He had local team and offshore team. And honestly, as you start thinking about these migrations, our migrations would start at 9 p.m., where we'd start shutting things down. We'd get to 10 p.m. where we do what we call data validations in the source system. So when we finished the migration, we could do those same checks in Azure to make sure what we thought was the data was the data. As well as when we finished the migration, not only would we do data validations, but we'd also do functional validations. From that process, we finished about an hour and a half, so about 11:30 we were done. We would hand off the system to CAP and the offshore team. They would be done by around 8 o'clock in the morning. About 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock they'd start bringing the systems up. 9, the Kona folks would get in, started to do the data and the functional validation, and then we'd hand it over to the bottlers for their validations. That was kind of the process, and honestly, with the team dynamics and the timing, it really is important. I've kind of said this a couple times, but you know, we went through a lot of different mock cutovers, and practice does make perfect. I just wish I could go back to the performance landscape and redo that one. There's a number of things that I would do a little bit different than if I had to do it all over again. The other thing I'll call out is know the impact of latency on your app. And I know this is common, guys, but when we did our testing, when we did our mock cutovers, we didn't see a lot of latency. You know, people would complain that we're on the bottler side, that things were slow when they were bringing the data back. But what we found after the cutover is we had these BW process chains. And I don't know how many people understand the BW process chains, but in our world we had an 8-hour SLA because of the number of records that are being written and read, it just added hours and hours to the process. So what we ended up doing is moving, so with the HLIs today are in what is called a colo. The VMs are in US East 2, or US East. We ended up having to move several of those VMs to the colo so they'd be right next to the VLI to support this one process. The TPM users that access HANA still are in US East. That was never an issue. But you just need to take those types of things into consideration as you need to know how chatty your application is. Latency also is impacting the bottlers because, as I mentioned earlier, with the 82nd millisecond, if they're pulling a lot of data back, that's an issue as well.
David, if I can add 2 comments on that one. One that we've looked at for a couple of customers and we're talking to Coke about is in some of those scenarios where you have remote users, just like people did with SAP GUI with things like Citrix, putting those applications like the analytics applications in the same data center like Azure, for instance, and letting them do that will remove the remote user or remote country latency. Some countries in particular have really big latency challenges. I know we're working with Coke in China, for instance, with a primary data center outside of China, big issue there, and so you can help resolve it. And the second, we've since made a lot of progress where a lot of these systems are actually located, geolocated right database and application server. Realize we were the first to have these large systems in play, and our first version of that was not all right locally next to each other. The idea was to support these large HANA systems. Quite frankly, when we first did it from an engineering side, it was more of a vanity to say we have 24 terabyte nodes. We didn't actually expect to see customers running. And so as customers migrated over, we have had a lot of customers migrate over now at that size. And so the learnings we have are just continual process improvement. And today, if you look at where the roadmap of that is, it's really fantastic around continuing to remove that latency. The one thing we won't fix with Azure is your latency of your remote users. So in this case, that's something that long-term you're going to have to figure out how you mitigate. Either Citrix or having the applications more locally will resolve that. But there's the speed of light issue that if you have users in Brazil and your primary data centers in the US, for instance, there's going to be a speed of light issue there that you're not going to ever be able to resolve with the technology without moving the UI close to the database and application server.
So another call out is make sure your project team is dedicated. At the very beginning of this, I think we had a number of team members that were trying to work different projects. That does not work. During our pauses, I don't see an issue with having the teams do some different things, but as the migration is going on, making sure that they're dedicated. I think probably starting April, May, we were more 100%. I'm not going to say that caused any of the previous issues, but it's just something that I would call out, that just making sure that they're permanent team members until the migration's done. Don't make assumptions without a lot of validations. And I'll use the IP addresses as an example. That was shame on us that we didn't validate when we assumed that range was valid. We should have gone to the bottlers and said, hey guys, this is the IP range we plan to use. Is this okay? That in itself was just a bad assumption that we made. And then plan for surprises. As I alluded earlier, it's not a lift and shift. If you think it is, I think you're wrong, honestly. I think you will have surprises, whether it's different versions of software, hardware. There'll be tweaks that you need to make. There are best practices that SAP has to run in Azure versus where you are today. So there will be some changes. So production go live. So we went live in July 7th. Because of some issues we had early on. But I do want to call out that we had outstanding support from Microsoft. Chris Helms was on all these calls. Bob Marino and his group from CAP. I honestly, there would have been no way we would have been able to make this happen without these folks. We had some dedicated folks from Microsoft. We had some dedicated folks from CAP, which really made this it made it a much cleaner migration than it could have been. And then the last thing I had mentioned, we did have to stand up physical BW servers next to HANA to overcome the latency. And just calling out that if you have a real chatty application, you need to do those pre-tests before you go live, just to validate. And the one thing I may have overlooked, I don't know if I have anything here, I don't. We found out about a product from SAP called Capture and Replay. A little late. I highly recommend looking into this tool. It allows you to actually capture a production load and then replay it on one of your migrated landscapes. So you can see performance. It actually gives you good metrics as far as how it ran on the production system and then how it's going to run on your migrated system. So I honestly would, if you have the time, I would definitely use that product. After we migrated, we had a number of meetings with SAP. It could be used for migrations. It could be used for standard performance testing. It could be used for, as you start looking at upgrades, run it on one system and then run it on the upgraded system. Just understand what impacts are happening on the upgraded system. So honestly, that's the key learning I've brought back to my group. And as we start looking at HANA changes, we'll probably take advantage of that.
Then you don't have to simulate a workload. You get the actual workload that your users have.
So it doesn't cover everything, right? So it'll cover all your ODBC, JDBC, but it will not cover AO. So if you have a lot of AO users, it's not going to cover those. So you need to figure out a way of, as you're running the performance load, trying to mimic that type of activity.
Good.
But I do think it covers the majority of everything else that is against HANA at that point.
So there's one more thing I was going to ask you, David. And so you were talking about lift and shift. There's a number of service pack upgrades you put in place because of new enhancements the business needed. So coming from the background, I spent about 15 years around SAP, and in an ECUC world, it was common to wait for a year or some customers 5 years before they did any upgrades. Now the change of innovation pace is so fast, and SAP is always creating new features the business has to have. I know this even running it at Microsoft, where we're running SAP. So I think that caught a number of folks, including when we were working on the project, by surprise of just how fast that innovation pace happens. So nothing is stagnant state. So when you upgraded, it was a different version of a service pack, which in an old world you wouldn't do. But for the functionality, is that a fair comment that you had to really think about that continuous innovation? Yeah,
so we did do a couple of upgrades before we migrated, and I think we have actually did an upgrade after that. But it's the patch dot releases, right? I think HANA 1.17 or something like that, 18. But from an innovation perspective, from an Azure, we're actually, honestly, we're looking at, as I said earlier, we're doing a lot of machine learning, we're doing a lot of SQL Server, we're looking at SQL Server for potential augmenting what HANA does with data warehousing. So I think from an innovation perspective, moving fast in Azure, there's some things that we're really going to take advantage of. We're still trying to figure out, like I said earlier, around HANA 2.0, what we plan to do with HANA 2.0. We're evaluating dynamic tiering, which is the ability to move data off of HANA onto another warm storage, so you can reduce the footprint potentially of HANA, but we're still trying to figure out how that would work and is that applicable to Kona and the bottlers at this point. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Just one question, maybe I missed it in your presentation. You have everything in HANA Large Instance, or are you having some on-demand side-by-side?
So we have BW and HANA Native. So we have all our TPM, Trade Promotion Management, goes into BW on HANA, but it's all on the same instance of HANA. Is that your question? Yes, these are, they're all dedicated.
You don't have any on-demand side-by-side?
No, they're all.
I haven't looked at all
Well, we're considering it now on
Yes.
David and I had this conversation over dinner last night.
Yeah.
And Coke's a big company, obviously, right? So Coca-Cola Enterprise, we also have a deployment that's done all on virtual machines. Part of the issue with Coke, One North America, I just say Kona all the time, but Part of the issue that we had with Kona is the business was so dependent on making the move to get the agility and to get the TCO, and the time frame was so tight for David. The trick in the V1 move is to make sure that everything just worked, right? Because the cost per hour of the business to be down is enormous. And so from that perspective, and to get some of the agility that you talked about and some of the new functions, the first goal is a rounding error to talk about the difference. What we talked about is, honestly, just like at Microsoft, we are global, and we said we can't bring our systems down ever because we're global and we do global development. One great thing about looking at Azure is the metrics you look at. You start looking at capacity planning in Azure, and it goes, oh, your systems really aren't used a lot. And we shut a lot of our systems down now. About 70% of the compute is not used on non-prod for a lot of our landscapes. We're looking at doing something very similar, as well as just some new work that we're talking about on the application server side on the capacity planning. The one thing, just to be clear, you'll not be able to adjust now. In a future state, you will have some flexibility, is the HANA system size cannot be resized today. Future service packs is something that you saw at Sapphire in the roadmap for SAP, where the working memory can go up and down. The data size can't. But today, just to be clear, the HANA database cannot flex. It requires a recycle, and at that size, you'd have an outage. And so from the database side, it really doesn't matter on production, but the non-prod for that size for HANA is there. And then the application server, what you didn't see in his slide is there's all these ancillary applications which are typical of an SAP system, and a lot of those are just in virtual machines. So our average customer in this type of landscape has 350 interfaces that are not the systems you're seeing here, that all attach to it, application servers, third-party apps, all of that sort of thing. This in the BW side, you don't have quite so many, but when we start talking about the ECC and other parts of Coke and that sort of environment, you get even more interfaces like that. And those have much more of a tendency to flex. So I don't know if that answered it.
Yeah, so we're up 24/7 by 365, so we don't have any opportunity to spin things down. And the way it's basically we're leasing the 384s, so it doesn't matter if we spin them down or not. I think as we start looking future, we probably would go to more of a PaaS service, where we could spin them down when there's no activity. And granted, there's a lot of non-activity going on.
And the other big difference, just to talk about that too, is even on our side, you still get some of the Azure flexibility. So we've already talked to Coke about what happens if we want to move to a different machine. They're not locked into the machine they have.
Yeah.
So there's this thing, Matt's going to correct me from engineering, SKU up, is it called? Where as you grow, we've had a number of customers already take advantage of it. So they just literally would move from one size VM to another, pointing at the storage, and it's a reboot, and you're up at the new size. So the great news is in the data center capacity, we have a whole series of SKUs we have so that you can move up and down on that, but and up on the large instance. On your side, though, you're just growing more than anything.
Yep. And to your point, we'd like to evaluate higher capacities so we can have fewer nodes, because that just gets to be a management issue. Yes, sir.
On that side, we'll take a question over there again.
So you mentioned dedicated project teams?
Yes.
Is that for all resources or just basis? I mean,
so I would say, so for us, it would have included probably one basis member, would have been one network person, one HANA person, and then a team underneath those guys as needed, so we could ramp up and ramp down.
a team underneath those guys that manage the cloud?
Well, so we have a team so CAP is our provider today. They're managing all our on-prem as well as our cloud. I'm speaking for the project team, I'm specifically speaking just for the migration team. Mm-hmm. So you have a dedicated person looking at this stuff as much as possible, so as you start making headway into these migrations, you don't have to worry about pulling them from other things.
So the basis guy doesn't manage the cloud for you, he just makes requests into...
Yeah, So CAP has a cloud team that Daniel reports into.
Right.
So the cloud team is going to help manage us the run now since we're past the migration. But for the migration, Daniel was pretty much dedicated most of the project.
And that was what Bob was saying. If people could hear him, Bob, why don't you come up and I can pass my mic to you in case you have any questions, so people can hear. So it was one resource. What Bob was saying was primarily dedicated. In this size landscape, that's probably appropriate. The fractional resource that David's talking about, I think, becomes problematic, that the response time becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Because people will do best effort, but if you're on a fast track to get this stuff done fast, it delays things.
Yep. Any other questions?
Lots, but it's his turn.
Yeah, one more follow-up, because to rephrase it, what I'm trying to figure out is probably a big number of our customers would be smaller than you are, actually. No wonder. And that means I'm trying to figure out, could we provide them a solution solidly without HANA Large Instance? And so maybe not your use case, but that's what I'm trying to get my head around. What is even if they have a system that needs 24/7, but maybe not their development system, and then would it be the better approach to see whether it fits into on-demand?
So we have customers already today. I mean, the reality with all the providers, you get a better agreement if you do a longer term. I don't do licensing or anything like that. But what we do on Microsoft is you can flex even on the longer term commitment up and down within series. So again, I'm not a licensing specialist and I'm not on that side of the house, but we have a lot of customers that are, let's say, 4 terabytes and below today, soon to be 6 and 12 if you saw the announcements at Sapphire. On those environments, you can flex up and down, within that, we call it M series, which was designed for HANA. And you can run other databases and ECC on that as well, and you get a great flexibility then to morph that. And that's honestly the mainstream. And honestly, most of the SAP implementations today are 2 terabytes or under. It's just the reality if you look at the customer base. So we're talking about how you handle these really large, complex, one-of-a-kind kind of Coke, Microsoft, big company, SAP, kind of migrations. But that's the more common scenario for it. The couple cautions I'd throw at you is if it's OLAP, there are some core limitations in virtualization today. They get better as time goes on. But we have customers that just assume it's memory only, and there's a reason that SAP did a core to memory ratio for the smaller systems, because there are going to be some limits. And I think the design for us wasn't to say we're going to do something special and unique because we want to do it. Our design started with why can't we fit it in M series? And there will always be scenarios, I think, where you're going to have this in-memory database type scenarios that aren't built on microservices, and SAP is moving there, but that'll take some time. And so in those environments, we have customers now that look out 5 years in this size of Coke that don't think they'll ever be off that type of solution. The difference is the virtual machines will go bigger and bigger. So today we're talking 4 for OLTP, realistically, without exception from SAP, 2 for OLAP. But if it's lightweight usage, you use TDI5, you can go 4 there as well. And then that'll go 6 and 12. And so if you're above that, the scale out, you'll see some new options coming out soon. But today, the other thing to think about is your HR options are a little different, or your HA, I should say. In other words, on the bare metal, we can do N+1 shared NFS at the performance speeds HANA needs.
Because of the lessons learned, right? I was just wondering, your example with the NICs.
Yep.
I think this is because you have hardware, right? You have
Yes.
large instance.
Yes.
So other learnings probably apply the same way, but this one, I was wondering whether this would be something that you would then have to care about or not.
So
In theory, you shouldn't have to worry about that.
yeah, and I would say some of these things you're running into in general, most customers don't run into. Like David even said, the first migrations they did, and other customers running on similar large instances had no issues. It's all based on volume. So I will tell you from having been involved in large mission critical, especially SAP systems for some time, the largest customers always have a unique situation where they have some performance constraints at those sizes that bring up things you really don't ever see. The one thing I'll caution you even on VMs is your sensitivity to service pack of operating system and HANA service pack is still something you really need to think through when you're planning that, because people just assume you're going to do an upgrade and you have to make sure the compatibility stays current. But if you're there, you honestly, on both sides, shouldn't really have any problems. And even since then, Matt has been working from our engineering side with customers on the 40 gig cards, no issue with them now. It's just at that point in time under that load, that was the only customer in the world, which shows you how Azure is getting consumed. The vendor, which was mentioned, we had a vendor that had the hardware, didn't have any other customers at that volume. And so we're now seeing some of the largest workload volumes on Azure bigger than what's on on-prem environments, and that brings out unique scenarios. But for the mainstream, I would say that's not something you'd have to worry about on either side.
So one thing we are looking at is for lower landscapes that have the physical instances, we're looking to go to VMs. Once Microsoft and SAP certify the M128 3.8 terabyte, that's something we'll probably look at, because there's really no reason when there's very few users on QA or pre-prod, there's no reason to have all the physical.
And that's done via something called TDI5, which is a new process for SAP. So internally, there's a little debate. We have it as well. We live in a glass house with our engineering sometimes, like everyone, in a company that develops solutions. And so what happens is TDI5 is new to SAP. That's what you want to look at. So if you read any of the release notes, it'll say certified for this unless it's TDI5. What TDI5 says is they're going to look at your actual volume of bandwidth under the system, and you can use the 3.8s, for instance, already today. And so with that, you just got to make sure you're using the right messaging there, because you'll never get mainstream certification that's outside of the core to memory ratio from SAP. But a lot of workloads fit fine just because the volume is not the same. Yep. Got a question over on that side?
We just rolled over to those 3.8s last weekend, just so you know, it does work.
Perfect. Working great for you?
Yeah, so far.
If not, I've got engineering up front here, so.
Is Costco.com working? Anybody? If
Yeah.
it is, then yeah, it's working.
Fantastic.
That's good.
So how many NICs did you use and how many IPs on each NIC?
So we had 2 NICs in each machine. We ended up going down to the 10 gig, but I think we had, did we have 2 IPs for each NIC, or was it just a failover? It was bonded, so I don't think it was only 1 IP address, right? Because we didn't have the configuration where we could do.
We ended up having 4 different VLANs, right? That's 4 interfaces, logical interfaces.
Yeah.
Actually 4 ports on each.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and you went to 4 just for management purposes?
No. What you can, and there's some reasons we didn't in that case.
Vert or physical, or both?
He's the man.
Yeah.
So some of the BW servers we had to move physically next to them.
But not all of them.
We still have some in US East. So like all the TPM users that, like I said earlier, they're hitting a transaction at a time. They don't have any latency. They're not seeing any latency. It's just these process chains that are moving large amounts of data. That's where we saw the latency issues.
And generally speaking, we don't see any issues. They're on virtual NIC on that side, and even on another part of Coke, we have the HANA database on virtual networks on M series. And on that, there's no issues on how we're running that as well.
Yeah.
It becomes more transparent to HANA. The one thing you have to think about is the bandwidth you're going to get in the disk I/O, because it varies based on the M series. So if you get to a really small machine, there's some new ones that aren't certified for SAP that have more memory. But they don't necessarily have the throughput, and that's why you have to look at that certification chart to see what we've actually tested with SAP. But those all pass the hardware certification test from SAP around that.
Yeah.
What is Microsoft's recommendation for ASR versus HSR? So is ASR even recommended for in-memory applications like HANA, or there are other techniques like backup restore, import export, or even third-party techniques like Cloud Endure, Velostrata, or Cloud Vela? So what is the criteria for
So we're using ASR from Azure East to Azure West for all the VMs, and we're using HSR from our physical to the DR. So we continue to use those. I think it comes down to, from my perspective, is the licensing for SUSE, right? It's really all around. ASR is copying the direct image. It's basically doing block size copies.
And HSR will give you less of an outage on the large systems for the actual database side and how you convert, because you can do asynchronous and then the final sync is very short. If you saw the window of how short his window was, he's 20 terabytes. They didn't have the bandwidth to do that in a couple hours. It's because they had HSR with async. You can do similar with ASR, but for the database side, I would generally go HSR. I'm going to cut it off there, and we'll still be around for questions because Matt and Naga just pointed out to me we're a little over time. Thank you very much. The evaluation is really important for us so we can get continual feedback. So I'll get beat up if I don't say do the evaluation, and we're out front here for any other questions we missed. And again, thanks.